Hey y'all, welcome to the Healing Space Live and Online Chats with Roxanne and Rhonda, the podcast where guests will share information and research on self-love, living a wellness-filled life, how to heal from traumatic events, and more. This podcast is sponsored by Healing Hearts and Minds Publishing, LLC, a new company that publishes books that promote self-love, healthy relationships, avoidance of unhealthy relationships, and much, much more. Check out their first publication, Unhealthy Relationships, Let's Stop the Madness, a guide for those in unhealthy relationships and for those who want to help them. Written by first-time author and co-host of the Healing Space Live and Online, Roxanne Elizabeth Epperson. Visit Amazon.com to purchase the paperback or ebook. Enjoy the show. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Healing Space Live and Online Chats with Roxanne and Rhonda. If this is your first time joining us, we welcome you and we hope this will not be your last time. So today we're going to be talking about resources that are available to all of you. Our focus is on healing and healthy relationships and getting your life back on track after traumatic events. And our guests will be sharing some events. Some are national, some are local to Pittsburgh, because Rhonda and I are here in Pittsburgh. And we'll share some national resources with you as well. So I'm not going to read bios and all of that. I'm going to let our guests introduce themselves and tell us who they are and what their services are. And then we'll just, if anybody has any questions, and I might have a question or two or whatever, and we'll just go from there. We're just going to have a dialogue and just go from there. And so I would like to start with Miss Vashti Bledsoe. Vashti, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Bledsoe, yep.
Bledsoe, okay, yes. So she's in the Philadelphia area, but I'm going to let her go ahead and tell us about her program at Lutheran Settlement House.
Hi, I'm Vashti Bledsoe, and I am the program director for the Bilingual Domestic Violence Program at Lutheran Settlement House, where we provide support services for victims and survivors of domestic violence. Lutheran Settlement House is a community-based agency. It has 5 program areas. We have a homeless shelter for families. We also have a senior center that's a day center that seniors can come and hang out at from about 7:30 in the morning till about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. There's a social worker and activities coordinator on site to keep the seniors entertained and also help with any issues that they have. We also have a food pantry that's open to the community Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 p.m. Anybody in the community can come and access the food pantry. We don't ask about income or anything like that. It's just open for people to come and to get food. And 2 days a week, we give out fresh produce on our forum stand. And then lastly, we have the education program, and the education program provides GED support for adult learners who are trying to get their GED. It's also linked to our economic justice program. We're helping people to connect with employers who are hiring and write their resumes and learn interview skills and so forth and so on.
Wow. That's a whole lot of stuff y'all doing over there to be commended. So are you looking for people? Are you recruiting, or do people take advantage of your services like they should?
Oh, absolutely. We in our domestic violence program, we see about 4,000 people a year who are either accessing our hotline or our individual counseling services, our community education services. We have medical advocates or domestic violence advocates at 4 different hospitals here in the city to respond to people when they answer yes when doctors screen for domestic violence in the home. And in our food pantry, we serve about 150 people a week in our food pantry. So all of our services have seen numbers increase since we've reopened after the pandemic.
Yeah, you mentioned the screening, and I was sharing with someone the universal screening. Is that still the correct terminology?
That's still the correct terminology.
No one has asked me about anything in the last couple of years. I'm like, somebody's falling short on their job. They're supposed to be asking me that every time I come. Is that correct?
That is correct. They should be. But it's out of sight, out of mind. So when we first got the Affordable Care Act, they made it mandatory for healthcare providers to ask about domestic violence, and then they could also charge for asking with HMOs, since they've renegotiated a lot of those things and it's now part of a package deal. Unfortunately, we've seen providers ask less, which is why it's so important for us to have DV advocates present at hospitals, because it's a constant reminder to continue to act. So what we do know is when doctors and nurses screen for domestic violence, people say yes a lot. And so like we get a number of referrals from all of our hospital sites every month of people screening yes for DV services, or that they've experienced domestic violence in their homes. But we know that that's only happening because our advocates are there doing the work on the front lines, reminding doctors to screen, putting up signage and all of those other things.
Wow, I'm glad they're answering yes, because I think I had heard that it maybe takes a couple visits before they say yes. So I guess they got to get comfortable with you and trust you or whatever. So I'm glad they're reaching out.
And what we've learned is it doesn't take a couple of visits. It just takes a couple of people asking. So, first person may not ask me in the right way or in a confidential space, and I might say no. So, when the triage nurse is asking with 30 other people waiting in line to be triaged, it's a shameful thing for some people. I may say no, but then when I get behind closed doors and the nurse asks me, I may say yes. So we encourage them to ask multiple times on one visit, because there is no guarantee that you'll get to see that person again to ask again. And you could save a life just by asking multiple times.
Yeah, and you brought up the word shameful, and that's one of the things I try to encourage people to do, is to not be ashamed of what had happened to them. Because I'm a victim, as y'all know, as most of you know, that I've experienced domestic violence, and I was very ashamed of what happened to me, and even and to say it out loud, even what happened to me as a child with the childhood sexual assault, it's still hard. And even though I'm not ashamed of it, it's still hard sometimes for me to say it. I don't, like, it gets stuck. And the first time I even said it out loud at a conference, I was like, I can't believe I said that out loud. But at the same time, it was free. So that was good. Okay, well, thank you so much, ma'am. So I want to move over to Miss Becca. If you can tell us about your organization and what you do and all that good stuff.
Sure. Yeah, I work for RAIN, which is an acronym for the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. We're a national organization, and we are the leading organization on sexual assault in the country. We do 4 things. So we support survivors, we educate the public, we advocate for public policy, and we help companies and organizations to improve and respond to sexual assault. My work with RAIN over the past 5 years has really been on the supporting the survivors side. I worked with the National Sexual Assault Hotline, which is, one of our really big services. We offer it in English and Spanish. So we do have quite a few bilingual support specialists who work with us on the National Sexual Assault Hotline. That's not the capacity with which I work at RAIN now. I'm actually the affiliate and resources manager. So I work sort of alongside the hotline. We have a pretty substantial database that we have resources to for the unique needs that survivors may have as a result of their experience of sexual assault. So part of my job is to make sure that we have a very robust database for resources to give out to survivors who may come to our hotline. And then additionally, the other part of my job is to work with our affiliate network. So we have about 1,100 affiliates that we work with across the country, where when people call our hotline number, 800-656-HOPE, they can actually be connected to their local center. So their local center can tell them about the resources that are offered in their area. So I work alongside of all of those amazing affiliates who provide local services rather than national services like us.
Great. So that is Pittsburgh Action Against Rape one of your affiliates?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
I assume they would. Yeah, I have a relationship with them, or had a relationship with them, and probably will reestablish it at some point. And I would love to talk with you at some point about what you're doing at Rain and what I'm trying to do with my program. So we'll talk about that at some point.
Okay, sounds great.
Okay. So, Mr. Kevin, share with us who you are, please, and what you do.
Hey, okay, for sure. My name is Kevin B. Wells, and I am the founder and executive director of the Baker Wells House. The Baker Wells House is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to provide multidimensional support services to individuals and families, including but not limited to transitional, also known as alternative housing, and recovery services to help people overcome life's adversities. Our vision at the Baker Wells House is to inspire and equip all of our clients and communities with the insight, the tools, and the skills they need to be responsible and productive members of society who live comfortably, joyous, and free. We also have a Facebook page in which we invite everyone, not just our clients at the Baker Wells House, but the people who follow the Baker Wells House on Facebook, people who look to the Baker Wells House for guidance. We encourage them to look at our Facebook page every single day for more information and the daily inspirational messages. We also have the schedule of our podcast and much more as it comes and things develop. But the inspirational messages that go out daily is really what I'm trying to advocate. They have been created to help people overcome adversity by providing food for thought on a regular basis, a daily basis. So, we don't want people to leave the house without something to focus on, something to work on or work towards. We want everybody to be motivated to handle their business day by day. And that is our main objective, to be honest. We're based in Pittsburgh. We're based in Pittsburgh's East End, and we basically service the people in Pittsburgh's East End and the surrounding communities as well.
Let me ask you this, Kevin. Why did you found the Baker Wells House, which I love the name of the house because it's your name. I'm assuming Baker, the B in Kevin B is Baker. And I just love that.
Okay, well, there is a little bit of history with that name, so I'll give that to you first. The Baker Wells House, we got our name because the home that we use for alternative housing is a family home. It's been in the family for around 65 years or so. And the original buyers of the house were my mother's parents, Ella Mae and William K. Baker.
Okay.
And Lloyd and Lucille Wells, who are my parents, raised my siblings and I in the home. And interesting enough, the only sibling, or I'll say it like this. I am the only one of my siblings who carries both of the last names, my mother and my father's last name. So my name is actually Kevin B. Wells, Kevin Baker Wells. So I thought it only fitting to name the Baker Wells House after my grandparents who originally purchased it and my parents. And here's an interesting thing. We provide rooms for recovery. That's our main focus. The alternative housing, providing a safe drug and alcohol-free environment for people to recover from. And, a lot of our clients, they're recovering from drug and alcohol issues, but not all of them. Because what I've discovered recently, and I've recently been fortunate enough to take this training to help people to deal with their intellectual challenges. We used to call them mental health issues, but there's a new label, and I like to use that. But people who are facing intellectual challenges, we have a nice, comfortable home for them as well as anyone else who has a need for something out of the norm. You know, people have a lot of different issues.
Mm-hmm.
And the way the Baker Wells House came to be is my story, but it is a similar story for a lot of people.
Okay.
So I found myself back in 1996 in a situation where I was going to be released from a work release program. And I was there because my lifestyle and using drugs and alcohol ended me up in a place such as the Renewal Center.
Okay.
So when it got close to the time of my release, my parents, my mom had died in June of 95. My brother Greg passed away in September of 96, and my father was left in the house by himself. His sisters talked him into moving into a seniors building, and he was going to give up the house, and the siblings were talking about selling it. And I found myself in that situation. And that situation was, you're about to be homeless. They sell the house. Where are you going to go to when you leave this program? So I asked my father, I said, Pops, you know, I really want to keep the house. Would you consider deeding the property over to me, you know? And my father had seen me make some changes in my life and did enough positive things in a short period of time. And he had faith in me and he trusted me. He said, well, Kevin, if I did that, you couldn't afford to stay here by yourself. He says, you know, you're paying child support, you know, you're not bringing home a lot of money. The utility bills alone will blow you out the water. You can't afford to stay here. I said, Pops, I thought about that. And I know there's a lot of people in the same boat as I'm in. And I'm thinking that maybe I can help them and they can help me all at the same time. I want to start a program and I'm going to rent out a couple rooms. Okay. And he said, well, I'm going to think about that. A day or two passed. He sat me down and said, you know, I thought about what you said. And I want you to have something from me and your mother to help you get back on your feet. Boom. That's exactly what I'm doing today. I'm helping people get back on their feet, and I'm trusting and believing in people and giving them another chance, just like my father did for me. Wow. So that's basically the story.
That's a beautiful story. I love it. I love it. I love it. So, okay. So, I just wanted to share that anybody in the room can share any resources that they might have. Like now, Terry. Hi, Terry. Terry's a retired social worker from UPMC McGee Women's Hospital. So I know you've been retired for a while, but if you can think of any resources that you remember or whatever, feel free to share them. Rhonda, do you have any questions for anybody? And how are you this evening?
Hello, everyone. Of course, I always have questions.
I know.
Hello, and sorry for my confusion with the time. Kevin, I'm going to start with you. Knowing that all people from all walks of life can run into trouble and difficulty, no matter what it may be. And I'm very fond of the Baker Wells House. And I'm just wondering, how do you handle, or if you have had to handle, when someone may need to be exited from the house for, I don't want to use the word misbehavior, but maybe for dangerous behavior, something that may be putting themselves or others in danger. Have you come across that or have a plan for that?
Absolutely. That's something that happens from time to time. We've been pretty fortunate over the years because we've been doing this since 1997. But what happens is when they come for the orientation to look at the room and hear what's going on and talk about the things that we do and talk about their needs and hear our expectations. During the orientation, if they're happy with what they see, they're comfortable with what they hear, and they want to come into the house to be a resident and recover, well, the first thing they have to do is sign a consent. Well, it's actually called a resident agreement. And basically what it has is expectations, rules, And it's an agreement that says if I break any of these rules, if I don't deliver on what you expect of me and I don't stay in compliance, I agree to leave within 24 hours of having been told. See, we went down that road with the magistrate and all that. And, you know the magistrate. We know his son that sits in the magistrate now. So they told me, Kevin, you talk to your attorneys, what you said to me, because I did some research, and they said what you said to me, that will keep you from ever having to come back here. So we were all in agreement. So I helped draft this thing based on recommendations from the attorneys that we have, and I came up with this resident agreement. So that basically nips all that in the bud. Three strikes basically, because everybody deserves another chance, but when it comes to the safety of everybody that's in the building, then you have to consider is the safety of everybody more important than the welfare of one individual, or giving one individual another chance, when that weighs more in favor of he's got to go or she's got to go, then they have to go. That's basically it. So that resident agreement is what keeps everything in perspective.
Roxanne, I don't have any additional resources, but a couple questions. Vashti, I got in a little bit late, so I don't know what organization you're from, if you can tell. And then Kevin, how many people can fit in your house? Is it for men and women? What about families? That's my questions.
All right, Baker Wells House the program is called Rooms for Recovery. There's a lot of recovery places, and there's places that provide rooms, and there's 2 or 3 people in some of them. I thought it was critically important that we have one individual trying to get themselves together, an individual, 1 per room. So 7 rooms, or we have room for 7 occupants. And we don't discriminate against males or females, and we don't favor one or the other, because I think it's critically important for everybody to learn how to live and coexist. So I think it's a good thing for men and women to occupy the same or coexist in a home and learn to live, together without conflict. So that's why the rules are in place. And then what we do is we treat this kind of like a home group, where, this is a family and it's referred to as a family. It's a residential home, basically. So when you're in there, you're like siblings. And then I advocate, look, I know that you're going to have disagreements with each other, and there's going to be a need for some conversations to be had. All I expect from you, and all that we're going, and what we are looking for, is to, when you have to have those conversations, you do it in a loving and caring way. They learn that from 12-step programs, but you got to emphasize that. So yeah, men, women, 1 person per room, 7 occupancy, 7-person occupancy.
Before you move to the next one, how long can they stay?
Well, each individual has their individual situation. So we talk about that at the first orientation, the first time we meet. We talk about their needs, their expectations, what are their goals, long range, short range goals, and then we determine how long that individual needs to have in the place before they leave.
Great. So Vashti, you want to answer her question?
Sure. I'm from Lutheran Settlement House in Philadelphia. We are in North Philadelphia in the Fishtown area.
Yeah. So, okay, Rhonda, y'all know she got bunches of questions there. She goes.
So, as Terry said, I apologize for missing Vashti's presentation. Vashti, did you talk about a hotline, or did you talk about, I'm sure you did talk about the services.
Yeah, I talked about services. I didn't go in detail about the hotline. We kind of got stuck on the medical advocacy program. So we do run a 24-hour hotline. We are trained domestic violence counselor answers that hotline 24 hours a day. Most of the calls that come into that hotline are about emergency shelter or questions about an emergency protection from abuse order that a survivor of domestic violence can get from a judge that mandates the person to stay away from them. and or evicts the person from the home. We run our hotline in collaboration with the other 3 domestic violence agencies in Philadelphia. So there's Women in Transition, Women Against Abuse, and then Congreso de Latinos, who all have domestic violence programs in the city of Philadelphia. So we all work together to ensure that a trained advocate will answer the phone 24 hours a day. Because of the increase in calls, we make sure that there are 2 agencies covering on the line at all times. Well, from 7 in the morning to 12 midnight, and then from 12 to 7 a.m. there's only 1 agency covering the line because that's the lowest time that calls come in. So during our peak hours, which is from 7 a.m. to 12 midnight, we have 2 agencies covering the line to make sure that we have enough people on there to handle the increase of calls. We also have a chat line during hotline hours where survivors can text chat if calling is not safe. And that got added during the pandemic because when the pandemic first happened, we saw a increase in calls for about a week. And then we saw a significant drop in calls. And we know that we saw that significant drop in calls because it was no longer safe for people to call. So, when you're quarantined and then you're in a house with everybody, it's hard to find that quiet space, that safe space to be able to call, to reach out for support. And so we saw a dip in the calls. And now that we're opening back up, we're seeing the volumes increase slowly day by day. We're seeing the increases of calls coming back in. So I think when I checked this morning, yesterday, we had a 34% increase in the calls from the day before. So we're seeing it grow at a rapid pace right now.
Can I ask, Vashti, you mentioned evictions, and Rhonda, help me remember, I was sharing with you on our last podcast about an article that I read, something about evictions and people being evicted. And it said that Philadelphia was one of the few states or only state that was not evicting people with domestic violence.
City, not state, hon.
Pardon me?
City, not state.
The only city? Oh, okay.
That's because we've, the good thing is that our government, our city government has played very well or and responded to the moratoriums that were set in place. And so every time there was an extension, eviction court was shut down or closed because there's nothing that people can do until after the moratoriums have been lifted. Unfortunately, those moratoriums are lifting on July 31st. And as far as we know, there will not be any extension. So Philadelphia will be on that list. And we are gearing up for that as a domestic violence program because we're already getting the calls about people who are afraid that they're going to be evicted, because it was great to have those things in place. But, you know, as I've been saying from the beginning of this pandemic, at the end of this, landlords are still going to want their rent. Utility companies are still going to want their payments. So what are we doing to offset that? You know, because this time is coming and it is now here. And so, you know, we know that people are going to be draining the resources for all of the programs that'll help them get caught up on those services. And thankfully, there are a lot of money came through from the CARES Act, and a lot of programs are set up to be able to help people get through this stressful time. So we're just hoping that people will take advantage of those things.
Great, thank you.
So Becca, Bash has just mentioned that midnight to 7 a.m. is a slower time. And I know you have often worked that shift for Rain. So I'm just curious, is there peak hours? What are peak times that Rain's hotline is more active than other times?
I don't know that there's any specific time. We're pretty busy all the time. We serve about 800 survivors a day, which is pretty incredible. We've served over 3.5 million people since we started the hotline in the mid 90s. So, you know, every day is different. It kind of ebbs and flows a bit. I don't know that I could really say, you know, at this time we're the busiest or at that time we're not. The mornings tend to be a little quieter, but you know, generally we're just doing great work supporting survivors all day long. So,
what's the median age, if you know, for Rain? What is there a median age or?
I don't. I do know that we do receive a lot of children that come to our hotline. I think that's sort of surprisingly, only because it is an anonymous hotline. So, you know, we don't do mandatory reporting, not because we're not obligated. We are obligated to mandatory report, but we do see a lot of minors come to the hotline only because it's a safe place for them to talk about what's going on without worrying that someone's going to make a report. So, you know, we don't discriminate against age. We welcome folks of any age. But I don't know that I could really say what the median age is. We might have some stats on our website. There is a statistics page, so I might have to check there. But yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Can I ask Becca, do you provide services, services do you provide differently than a local affiliate?
Yeah, so we don't actually provide any direct services like an affiliate might provide. Like, you know, an affiliate might provide legal advice. But since we're a national hotline, you know, we wouldn't want to provide legal advice just because things vary so much state to state or even area to area, right? Like Vashti would be, you know, the expert on what are the nuances in Philadelphia. Me, not so much. You know, we don't provide any financial services like helping folks with rent. We're really there to provide emotional support and short-term crisis support and helping people get connected to those long-term resources. So it's not necessarily any like direct financial or legal support, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. Okay.
Can I explain a question? I mean, Becca.
Yeah, absolutely.
Are you guys the funders? Like, do you fund programs? Like, how does it work with being the largest international agency? Do other programs fall under you? Do you have programs in every state?
Yeah, so we partner with our affiliates. We don't actually fund them. Yeah, I think a lot of them receive you know, their own funding. So it's more like a partnership with our affiliates rather than them sort of being under us. Some of the programs are just sexual assault, and in some areas they're like the dual programs where they're domestic violence and sexual assault. It just depends. You know, in some areas they're combined services.
Great.
So, Becca, so it sounds like to me you're kind of like a liaison. You're an organization that can direct people to the services that they need.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Baker Wells House is headed in that direction. When it's going to take a little while, but we want to eventually get to a point where we can field calls and be able to direct people to the services they may need. That's why I've been having on our podcast a lot of different people from a lot of different organizations trying to establish a network. So I'm glad you're here. You're a part of our network now.
Great. Happy to be a resource.
Yeah.
And it definitely takes time. You know, we've been around since 1994 and we still are refining our database, right? So new resources come up. Some, you know, may not exist anymore. So it's a constant job to make sure that you're providing, you know, the best trauma-informed, survivor-centered, maybe not survivor-centered for you, Kevin, as much, but, you know, the best services, and they're constantly changing and there's new ones. And so, and, you know, the needs of survivors are really diverse, and I'm sure the needs of your population are as well. So it's a constant job to make sure that we're supporting folks in the best way that we can. So I wish you the best of luck, Kevin, and I'm more than happy to be a resource to you in whatever way that I can.
Great, thank you.
Kevin, I have a couple questions for you. One is, speaking of the funding right now that was just mentioned, the question that was just asked, have you been able to receive any grant funding or anything to help support Baker Wells House?
Well, you know, the Baker Wells House has been completely self-sustainable since our start in '97.
Wow.
But to evolve into the program that we want to become, we're going to be needing that. So we have a team of people that are on board with us that are going to help us achieve our goals and to expand our services. But at this time, no, we haven't been receiving any funding.
Okay. My other question to you is around information. I know we live in a world of technology and everything is digital. And I don't know if you provide like a laptop or computer at the house that everyone has access to. And if not, do you like printed material? Because I'm wondering if there's any printed material that anybody could send your way, since you are moving towards having being more of a resource program for your residents.
Well, we might be able to utilize some of that in the near future, but at the present time, what we do, is basically I connect with people through their cell phones. Everybody has a cell phone, and it's on them all the time. So the Baker Wells House daily inspirational messages, we actually started sending those out on a group text to the individuals in the house. But as we were going for funding and COVID hit, there was a shift in how money was obtained and what they were going to be given money for. And with nonprofit organizations, they want to know two things: what's your plan for sustainability, and how do you measure your outcomes? so that gave me the great idea to okay, well, you know what? I've been thinking about getting these messages out to as many people as we can, because these daily inspirational messages are the heart of the service that we provide. It's the fuel for faith. It's the food for thought, and it is the focus that everybody needs each and every day before they go out. Because if they go out without a plan, or something on their mind to focus on, then you're going out and you got a lot of idle time, and we know what idle time is. They say it's the devil's workshop. So that we don't want that to happen. Mm-hmm. So the way that we get our information out is through our Facebook page at this time. That's the strongest vehicle that we have. So I encourage you all, just like I encourage everybody, to go to the Baker Wells House Facebook page, Baker Wells House on Facebook. Scroll down, follow us, like something, scroll down each and every day, and start with the daily messages. If you check it out today, it is a great time to start, because it actually mentions these daily messages are designed to help you build character. Character is built on integrity, something to that effect. It is the message for today. And then it encourages everybody to read these messages on a daily. I will say one more thing about the messages. They, although we started out as drug and alcohol, basically drug and alcohol support services, we've evolved into services to help each and every, I'm talking about any and everybody that has issues, because basically we're all recovering from something. And basically, in addition to we're all covering from something, most of what we're recovering from has a root of something tragic. So what you all are talking about, those situations that most of your clients are trying to recover from. Well, when you really dig down deep, everybody has those similar issues. So we're all recovering from something, and we're all trying to cope with life. We need some fuel for faith, and we need some food for thought on a daily basis. And what that does is that helps people come up with their own plans to recover and to maintain their wellness. And I've recently received that training. That's that WRAP, that wellness recovery certification. You get certified peer specialists to help you Well, it basically instructs you on how to help people develop their own WRAP, wellness recovery action plans. And basically that's what I'm out to do, because from my experience, and when I look at that overall picture, I see that it can benefit each and everybody. Everyone can benefit from creating a wellness recovery action plan because we're all recovering from something and we're dealing with issues.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Roxanne, I'm not watching the time.
Okay, I am. I just looked at it. We got about 15 minutes or so. And I was going to ask Amira to share with us a resource that it's a local resource that could possibly be available throughout the United States. You just have to maybe Google first-time home buyers programs in your state. But Amira, can you share with us your program, your resource?
Sure.
What is Kevin trying to show us? He's showing us something, but anyway, go ahead.
No. My bad. Go ahead.
Okay.
So I just finished a local program called the First Time Home Buyer Program with Galore Bank. And I was initially a little reserved about going to the program, through the program, because I initially thought it was for mothers, and I'm not a parent. So I thought I had to have children in order to access this resource, but there are resources out here available for us women who don't have children. So I went to the program, just completed the program, I'm happy to say. Turned in my blue binder. I'm looking for a home. So I'm looking to be a first-time home buyer. Just waiting to find something, but it's a wonderful program. And they tell you every single class that will stay with you until you get your keys. And they literally stayed with me, and they're still with me. And I'm confident that I will get keys because they're still with me. I'm able to email somebody on a Sunday about a house and she'll email me back. I mean, they're dedicated. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I wanted her to share that resource because, you know, like I said in the beginning, our purpose is trying to help women get their lives back on track, and becoming a homeowner could be a part of that for somebody.
Roxanne, can you repeat the name of the program again?
The First Time Home Buyers Program.
Is it through Galore Bank, Amira?
That's a dollar. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
my daughter went through that program and she bought a home. And she's single, no children.
Yes.
And she went through it and she got a home. Yeah. She bought her first home. And
I went through it too.
And she was about 30 when she got it. Yeah.
And it's specific to Pittsburgh, the Galore Bank.
Galore Bank. I don't know if there's a national Galore Bank or not, but I'm just saying that the First Time Home Buyers Program is national.
Yeah.
So you could just Google that and for your state, you know, First Time Home Buyers Program, Philadelphia, or your city, I should say, and see what might come up, because it's a thing that is
Just
going around. Yeah, and I went through it too. I was telling Amira when we first came on, I went through the program too, but I didn't finish it. So, but it's not too late. You know, I can go through it again. I'm contemplating that in about a year or so, I might revisit it again. But I just really wanted her to share that. And resources. Wanda, I'll go last. Did you have any resources, Wanda?
Before I do that, I just want to say to Amira and to everyone that that program, once it was designed and started for women, however, they have done it for men as well. So I don't know how they do the cohort. You know, if they just do all women at one time, all men or co-ed. But was yours co-ed or was it all women?
Mine was co-ed, and mine was with investors. Not everyone in my class wanted to buy a first-time home for themselves and their family. We had a lot of investors.
Yeah, it was definitely co-ed when I was there. I mean, it was even husband and wife team, you know, so it was nice. It's a very nice program. I strongly encourage. I'm sorry.
No, go on. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Oh, that was okay. No, I was just saying I strongly encourage people to investigate it, you know, check it out.
Even if you're not ready to buy a home, invest. I'm sure there has to be programs like this in the Philadelphia. Even if you're not ready to buy a home, it's good to help you with credit repair too. Building credit.
Yeah,
exactly. And it takes a while. What was it about? Was it about 6? How many months was it, Amira? It's not
I joined the program November 2020, and I'm just now graduating.
Okay.
So about a year, almost a year.
So it's not a rush, that gives you time to get your stuff together and, get your credit score up and all that good stuff. Save a couple bucks and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's a great program.
And they match you 3-to-1 match.
That's also, we have first home buyers programs that we've been referring our clients to, especially the ones that's living in our transitional housing programs. But I haven't heard of much success with that. And a lot of it is because when they get to the credit repair part, a lot of it gets frozen because they don't have the money to clean up their credit and do a lot of the things that they need to do to get to the pre-qualification process of buying.
Okay.
So I'm just always looking for new resources.
Yeah, maybe they can still do it. It may just take them a little longer. Tell them don't give up. Keep that dream alive. And I just wanted to share on our website, WARHeals.org, WAAR Heals, HEALS.org. On our resource tab, you can click on there, and we'll update it as often as possible. But on there, there's the national resource, which is 211, like 911. Well, you have the 211, so we have that on there as well. So all of this type of stuff. So maybe you could go to the 211 and click on housing, and maybe a first-time home buyers program might pop up under that link. And we also have on there a link to every shelter in the United States so that you can, access all of them. I got to double check and see if RAIN is on there, because I know we had domestic violence, but I should have sexual violence on there as well.
I'm happy to pass along our info. The centers.rain.org is a part of our website that actually lists all of our affiliates throughout the country. So that's a fantastic resource. If anyone is looking to connect with a program in their area, it lists what services they provide and also what populations that they serve. And most of the information is in English, but they also have centros, centros.rain.org, where folks can also search in Spanish.
Oh, okay, great. So I don't know. I don't have anything else. Do you, Rhonda?
Well, I always like to give the National DV hotline number. So if you've listened to our podcast, I've given this number a couple times before. And while we're talking about resources, today is another good day to share this number. And that number is 1-800-799-SAFE, SAFE, or 1-800-799-7233. So you just may remember the word safe, but certainly encourage anybody in need. And I always like people to know that's the national number. It will put you in touch with your local closest domestic violence program. Sometimes, though, in an abusive relationship, you don't know where you're going to end up. So it's good to also know that national number to kind of put that in your mind, or somewhere that you could get to it in a hurry should you need that national number. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I kind of think, like Rhonda says every week, is this time for our natural close, Rhonda? Do anybody guess have anything else to add other than? And I definitely want you to give us your contact information so people can know how to reach you guys. So we'll start with Vashti.
Sure, I can be reached at thebledsoe@lshphilly.org. That's my email. And my office number is 215-426-8610. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, Pinterest. We have pages on all of them, and feel free to go and follow us and reach out. You can also send private messages through all of our social media posts. And Kevin, I want you to know that while you were talking, I went and followed your Facebook page.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Great. And before we move on to do Becca next, when we leave, when we say goodbye, I would like for Vashti to stick around for a second, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Okay, Becca, it's your turn.
All right. If you're an affiliate or someone looking to connect with RAIN about partnering, you can connect with me at RebeccaG@RAIN.org. But if you're a survivor looking for support, you can either call 800-656-HOPE or connect with us on our website, which is RAIN with 2 N's.org. If you're a Spanish speaker or want to pass along the website to Spanish speakers, it's the same, RAIN.org, but /ES. And on our website, you can find our online hotline.
Great. Mr. Wells?
Okay, the Baker Wells House primarily services the people in Pittsburgh's East End. The phone number is 412-441-9682. We also encourage everyone, because we can also reach out as far as possible in all directions. Thank God for the internet. But check us out on Facebook, Baker Wells House on Facebook. And I encourage everyone to look at the daily inspirational messages and share them with as many people as possible.
Great, great. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Kevin, how old is that number?
That number, you know, my sister told me stories about that. You used to just call the switchboard operator and just 9682, you know, and then you would be like Howland 1-9682. And then we incorporated phone numbers. But, you know, that's older than 6527 Meadow Street, Rhonda. That number goes back beyond that, because before we moved to Meadow, the family was right across the street from Mount Airy Baptist Church on Paulson Avenue.
Okay.
And that number was in that house.
So, wow. That's, I still remember that number. I know that number. So when you said it, I was saying it with you in my mind. And,
Wow.
just curious, like, how long has the Baker Wells House had that number? So thank you, everybody, for your wisdom, for your time. Thank you for sharing with Roxanne and I on the Healing Space Live and Online, chats with Roxanne and Rhonda. And we are very grateful for this information getting out to our listening audience, and we ask that you all will also share the information with anyone that you can, as friends, family, co-workers, to share that we do this podcast every Thursday, except for, did you make the announcement already, Roxanne?
No, I was just getting ready to. About the vacation?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Rhonda and I are going to take a much-deserved vacation the whole month of August. She's going wherever she's going. I'm going wherever I'm going, and but so we figured this would be a great opportunity for you to listen to any previous episodes that you may have missed, and you can do that by visiting healingspace.liveandonline.buzzsprout.com. And this information will be in the show notes, but that's healingspace.liveandonline.buzzsprout.com. I know that's a mouthful. And we also want you to, like I said earlier, to visit our website at Warheals, WAARHEALS.org. Check out, you can actually check out some podcasts there as well, because the videos are on our website and on our YouTube channel. But if you go to the website, it's easier for you just to find them. And our IG is Warheals_. So I kind of think that's it.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes, sir.
Because you just mentioned this, and it caused me to think. In August, since you all are not going to be doing your podcast, we don't want anyone to miss out. So we encourage you to go to the Baker Wells House Facebook page and check out our podcast for August. It happens the first Friday of every month. In fact, if you look at previous podcasts, you will see this month's podcast, the special guest was a lady by the name of Rhonda Fleming.
Rhonda Fleming. I just told her the other day I was going to look it up. I did listen to your very first episode, but I said I have to go back and listen to, some more. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because they've evolved since then. It got a little better, just the first one.
So yeah, we're growing, Kevin. We're in the same boat. This is
That's right.
episode
That's right.
16. Hey y'all, this is episode 16. We're
Woo!
growing.
That's
Week
you.
16.
All right now.
So anyway, with that, I think we got everybody's information. Again, we thank you so much. And Rhonda, can we just tell the people that
This is how we close.
we
got your back.
back. That's our thing. And we also, not only do we have your back, we want you to let the healing begin. That's our thing. We want healing to begin. And on that note, I will thank you all very much. And Vashti, don't forget, I need you to stick around for a second. And you too, Amira. Not saying nothing personal to the rest of you guys, but I know you're ready to go, and I just need to share with them something real quick. So thank you guys, and I really, really appreciate you. Oh, this was great. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thank you
And
so
God
much for
bless you.
having us.
You're welcome.
There are 2 things we would like you to do. Number 1, enter our monthly drawing by sending your email address to info@warheals.org. Spelled out, that is info@WARHEALS.org. Put drawing in the subject line. We will notify the winner or winners via email by midnight on the last Thursday of each month. Our second request, engage with us on IG. Follow, like, and subscribe to all of our social media platforms at warheals_ on IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. WAARHEALS_ on IG, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. As always, we thank you for listening and see you next week.